Hello and welcome to another live coaching. How are you? Did you sail this week? I'm in Hamburg. I'm in Hamburg. I'm in Hamburg, Germany for a few more days. And for those of you who don't know, my wife's is from Hamburg, and so I'm here with her family. We're celebrating Christmas with her family, and then we are flying to Cape Town. So we will be spending New Year's on the plane as we head off to Cape Town, and I'll be in Cape Town for almost 6 weeks. And we're doing some coaching there, which I'm really looking forward to. And I'm just looking forward to being back in Cape Town anyway. It's been a while since I've been, and it's such a magic, amazing place. I was really surprised the first time I went, which actually that first trip was the same trip I met my wife. I went there to train for the world tour because the conditions that we get at this time of year are similar to the European summer conditions that we compete in. And I was staying in a house with my buddy Flo and a few other people. And ended up my wife was there too. And well, she wasn't my wife then. But that's how we met. And that's why I'm in Hamburg. I would never have thought that dark December days I would be spending them in Hamburg, Germany, but here I am, and things are going well. All right, I want to hear if you sailed this week. If you did, let us know. Say hi in the chat. If you are celebrating Christmas, Merry Christmas. I hope you're doing well. I'm going to load up the Facebook group and roll through the posts from the week. This will probably be a little bit of a shorter live stream because I know people are celebrating. Hey, Ragnar, Merry Christmas. So I'm going to load it up and say hi in the chat. Let us know what you're up to. What are you doing for Christmas? Are you celebrating Christmas? If so, do you celebrate today or tomorrow? If you're not celebrating Christmas, are you getting on the water? Is it cold? Is it windy? And what are your local traditions? All right, let's get the Facebook group loaded up. All right, here we go. Just get this refreshed. Load it up. All right, who do we have? Oh, Alex. Hello, Alex. All right, so we've got a survey from Manu about which wind direction do we sail. So even though I grew up in Hawaii, which means I primarily sail side. I spent a lot of time in Europe, so I'm sailing all over now. And who's this on Facebook? This is not Alex, actually. Why can't I see who it is? Let me refresh this and see. I want to make sure I'm calling everyone out. For some reason, I can't see it. Well, Merry Christmas to you, and thank you for being here. Ragnar. Yeah, local ice with snow. All right, so I sail all of these conditions. I sail onshore, side on, side off, everything. But really interesting, great question. I love the question. Thank you, Manu, for posting the question. It's interesting to see all the answers and see what people sail. If you haven't responded, jump in. All right, next up, we've got a Swedish forecast. Okay. All right, Alexander is going to Cape Town. He's wondering what sail size to bring. So he's going December 26th to January 3rd. So the thing with Cape Town is that if you're willing to drive, you can pretty much sail every day. That's not always true, but it's often true. And in order to get the most out of your trip, you want to have that big size because there are going to be days where the wind is going to be a little bit lighter. So you want to have your big sail. That said, Cape Town can also get windy. Those southeasters can blow. And so having that small sail, that 3.7, can also be really useful. So I realize that's an unsatisfying answer because it can be super windy. Generally, I wouldn't go on a trip without your big sail almost anywhere except maybe Pozo, because if you're only going for a week, you want to get on the water as much as you can. And there can be really good down the line days that are a little bit lighter that you're not going to be able to make work on the 4-5, but on the 5-0, you would be having an amazing time. So I think you should always go with that big sail. If you can only bring three, I would go with these three, and then just expect that you can just downhaul the 4-0 like crazy if it gets nuclear, which can happen. It can happen. Um, and we've got some good answers from people looking specifically at the forecast. I think it's a good heuristic always to bring that bigger size, unless you're going somewhere like Pozo. And if you don't need it, count yourself lucky, you know. But I think it's really risky to go on a trip almost anywhere and not take your big sail, because that will get you on the water more days. We've got a few more people showing up in the chat. Hey, Bart. Happy Christmas Eve in Cornwall. And Greg, Merry Christmas. Thanks for showing up. So yeah, just one final comment on this. And you know, Alexander's talking about Cape Town, but it's really specific to anywhere that having that bigger sail. I'm not talking about a huge sail. I'm not saying you need to bring your 5-8 or your 6-5, but 5-0 is not that big. Having your big sail gets you on the water just more days, and there can be really good 5-0 days in Cape Town that are down the line, really fun sailing. And by not having that sail, you open yourself up to possible disappointment. And even if the forecast is dark purple and nuclear, forecasts can change. And that might be what you get maybe for the first day or two, and then the rest of your trip is less. So I think you always want to bring that bigger sail. You know, the ideal would be bringing 4 sails, but you say that's not an option. So then I would say bring the 4-0, and you can downhaul it like crazy if it's nuclear. And also, like I said at the beginning, Cape Town has a lot of spots. And while it's true that if you are willing to drive, you can sail almost every day, it's also true that you're willing to drive. If you're willing to drive, you can find different wind strengths, right? So if it's nuclear, you can drive somewhere to find wind that's a little bit lighter, a little bit more sheltered. I find as well for places like Big Bay, which I'm not a huge fan of in general, but a place like Big Bay, because it's gusty on the inside, you want to have a little bit of a bigger sail. So if it's nuclear somewhere else, maybe Sunset's blowing 3-7, or which then is really not fun because it's offshore 3-7. You can probably get away with a 4-0 in Big Bay because you want to have that extra area. So I think go with the bigger size and you can make it work. All right, next up, Tavi. So Tavi, some advice from Greg. Sorry, not Greg, Jeff from Oregon. And he is using, though not in this video, he's using the golf gloves that Jeff recommends. And that's somewhere else in the group. You can search for it in the group if you're interested. All right, I'm going to check the chat again. So Greg, nice. Greg sailed this afternoon in the Bristol Channel. Awesome. Merry Christmas, Max. Nice to have you here. All right. So Jakob has a question about moving the front hand back. Well, it's not really a question, more of a statement. So he had a 3-hour session where he tried this, and it made a huge difference. So what we're talking about is moving that front hand back. You don't want the front hand on the curved part of the boom. You want to make sure it's back closer to the harness lines. And it's going to make everything better. Going upwind, bottom turning, front looping. So awesome, Jakob. I love to hear it. Love to hear it. So we got another question from Jakob about losing speed in the bottom turn. And let's watch the videos. Let's watch the videos. I'm just going to check the chat quick. Nice. Max got on the water. 4-2. First sail post-op. Sweet. How did it feel? All right, let's check the video. So Jakob feels like he's losing speed on the bottom turn. Let's make this big. All right, so here's the first bottom turn, and then we'll get into the second one. All right, so there's the first one. Here's the second one. So, Jakob, I see a lot that's right here. You're getting more of that body lean than we saw in the past. You're getting good sheeting out. You're getting good placement. It looks like you've been working on your kata. You're still a little bit back-footed, which if we get more bend in that front leg, you'll have more pressure on that front foot, which then will sink the tail less, which will help you keep more speed. And then leaning into that little window that's opened up like we did in the bottom turn kata. Uh, but for the most part, you're doing a lot right here. And where I see the issue is more with the placement. And so if we look at the wave behind here, you see the guy behind, how much speed and pressure the wave behind is able to provide to him. And so he's doing a little bit of a tighter radius turn, which is one thing that you can think about doing. Uh, but he's also just on a wave that's providing more power. So the wave is providing more energy to go into his board. Because at the end of the day, riding waves is just all about taking the energy from the ocean, putting it into your board, transferring it into board, and putting it into the board speed. So the two things, let's do three things. So the three things, Jakob, to think about and choose one of them is getting a little bit more lean into that window with more leg bend, which then will help you get more on your front foot. That's the first, that's a minor point. Bigger points, the more important ones are where you are on the wave and where you're planning to go and what wave you're on. And those sound like different things, but at the end of the day, they come down to the same thing, which is looking for where that energy is and making sure you're starting at a power source and you're going towards a power source. This wave has more energy than the other one. So, like this little wave here is kind of going away from you. There's not a lot of power there. You can see it's disappearing. Whereas the wave behind has a lot more shape. White water is staying around. So it's not disappearing. That can be hard to find in these conditions. But once you start paying attention, you'll notice that you're better able to pick out the right ways. I just realized my mic is kind of far ahead. Can you guys hear me okay? Here, I can put this a bit closer. Um, so really paying attention of what the wave looks like. So this is a better wave. There's more energy in it. The two things that you can do differently, one is going a little bit earlier, so you can see that by the time you're dropping in, the wave is already completely broken. Whereas if you start a little bit earlier, and then you're able to get to the top of the wave while it's at this point, then you're gonna have an easier time picking up that speed. And the second thing is aiming for a tighter turn. And so instead of aiming down here, and then you have to travel this whole big distance, which then there's more opportunity to lose speed because you have to carry speed over a longer distance. If you aim tighter, so you're aiming higher, like right here, it's less distance to travel. So there's less speed loss, and it's where you're going to pick up more energy from the wave. So making sure that you're on waves that are providing more energy, and then going tighter with your turns also would be really helpful. So aiming instead of aiming down here, really aiming close to you. So trying to do more of a U-shaped turn, and that will help you. Both of those will really help you keep your speed. I'd be really curious for you to try really consciously focusing on those two things. So one is doing a tighter, more U-shaped bottom turn, and two is really paying attention to which waves are providing energy. So they're bigger, they're steeper, and they have more of a trough in front of them. Another thing to look for is the wave that then is sucking more water up in front of it, and those waves will have more power. So it's not just about the height, but also the trough. And so a more powerful wave has a bigger trough in front of it. So sometimes you have a wave with height, but it seems to kind of just be sitting on the surface of the water compared to waves where maybe they have a similar height, but also there's like a big dip in front of it, a big trough, and that wave is going to have more power. And that's going to help you keep your speed. So looking for those waves, and then also doing a little bit of a tighter turn. Um, yeah. So kind of like what Mungo says, you straighten out. So you want to keep doing that U-shaped turn. All right. So this is a question that I find really interesting. Do you ever play games on the water? So I used to play horse with my friends, or skate. And so that's where you each do a move and you copy each other. And if you fall or you do it wrong, then you get a letter. And the first person to get all the letters loses. And it's really fun. And you can do it with you don't have to have a high level, and you can even do it with a pretty big gap in level as well. I remember playing with Matt Pritchard when he was freestyle world champion, and I was like 14 or something. And you can still have fun. Obviously, the person that's better shouldn't be then doing their like best tricks, but there's a way that you can play where it can still be competitive. And so you just have to get creative with it. Sailing with your foot off and taking your hand off at the same time, and making an X with your body, or doing a jibe with a pirouette, or some kind of clapping thing in the harness, sailing no hands. Like, you can get creative with it. And I really am curious for other games that you can play on the water. So I like going through this, and I'm really curious if you've played games. Put it in this thread, and if you haven't played any games, I really recommend trying it out. You can play games with yourself or with your friends, and I think it's fun and helps with the learning. All right, we've got a video from Bart. Wow, look at that jump. Nice angle. All right, boom, carving. Bart, the footage looks really clear. I don't know if you changed something, but I think the footage looks clearer than normal, which is nice. Maybe it's rendered at a higher resolution, but it looks beautiful. Nice turn. I like that cutback on the whitewater. My only comment on this, I like a lot of what's going on in this wave. You can start this turn a little bit earlier, so you're kinda stalling a bit. One of the things that we look for as we progress in our wave riding is having fewer moments of setting up in a wave ride, and so the ideal is going from maneuver to maneuver to maneuver to maneuver, and if the wave is not ready down the line, that means maybe doing a maneuver up the line, so coming into a backside, and so you're always moving, rather than stalling. So that's something to work towards anyway. In this case, that stall makes it so you're a little bit late. You wanna kinda aim for this corner pocket right here. You can do a nice turn on that whitewater. I just lost my window. Can you guys see it? Why did I lose my window? So, hopefully you guys could see most of that while I was talking. Gotta reload that other window. For some reason, it stopped. So let me get this loaded up and find where we were. All right, here we go. All right, there we are. We're back. All right, so let's get to where we were. Somewhere here. I really like how snappy those cutbacks look. So good progress there. You mentioned the bottom trend specifically. in the this post. So let's pay attention to one of the bottom trends, see if there's anything we can say. Wide grip, getting low. A little bit early for the wave. The wave's not really ready for you. More of a setup where we're getting a little bit more steepness. This wave is offering a lot less. When we're talking about energy and we're talking about that trough in front of the wave, you can see there's really not much trough in front of this wave. This wave has a lot less energy in it than those other ones. I'm still managing to connect the dots though. But you can see that there's just a lot less energy in this swell than the other one. But I like how active you are. Boom. Nice. Let's pause on this bottom here for a second. So one thing you can think of, Bart, if you want more front foot pressure, so less back foot pressure, is get these hips pointed in the direction of your toes. Right now, they're pointed really towards the nose of the board, but the more they're pointed towards your toes, the more equal foot pressure you'll have. Really easy. So give that a try. See how it feels. Looks like looks like things are working pretty well in your equipment. And if you want to get a little bit more front foot pressure, the only thing I would think of maybe if I saw footage from a different angle, I might have more to say, but from this angle, that's kind of it. Looks good. All right, and just like that, we are caught up. I want to hear, Nick, if you're watching this, if you tried any of our tips from last week. Love these forwards you're posting. All right, everyone. I am gonna sign off, go back to my family. I hope if you're celebrating, you're having a great Christmas and that you get on the water soon. I'm going to be on the water soon in Cape Town. There are a couple more spaces for the Cape Town Masterclass that I will be teaching. Starts on the 22nd of January and goes to the 28th. So if you're interested, reach out to me. And otherwise, have a great week. I'll see you. When is that? Is that on the first or the 31st? Is next week Sunday? Let me check a calendar because I might be flying. I might be flying. Yeah, the 31st. So I've got to check my flights. I might be in the air on my way to Cape Town during this time next week, Sunday. So I'll let you know about the live stream. We might reschedule. Either way, have a great week, good holiday, and take care. Bye bye.